I'm the president and co-founder of African Ancestry, and that means I do everything except the science. I don't do it. I'm responsible for everything except the science. We started this business at the request of the community, really. My business partner is a geneticist, Dr. Rick Kittles, and he had compiled this database of African lineages from Africans all over the continent. And when the community found out that he was able to use genetics to determine not just the country in Africa that we share ancestry with, but also the ethnic group or the tribe, they went bananas and inundated him with requests. But he's a genetics researcher. He's not a businessman. And so the two of us partnered, and I commercialized his research to meet the demand of the Black community. So I manage all areas of the business: marketing, operations, sales, administration, finance, everything. But of course I do that with a team. So I can't take responsibility for all of our success. We have a team of people that manages that. But initially I'm the one who commercialized Rick's research. So
what does that mean, commercialized?
My business partner, Dr. Rick Kittles, had compiled this database of indigenous African lineages. And all the DNA companies work the same. They take a person's DNA and then they compare it to a set of sample DNA. And the analyses differ depending on which parts of the DNA you look at and how many samples you compare the DNA to. So we have the largest database of indigenous African lineages in the industry. We have over 33,000. Our closest competitor doesn't even have 2,000 African lineages. So Dr. Kittles had this database of African DNA, and he had the ability to tell people, based on your DNA, you share ancestry with people living in these places. But that's not enough to make it a business. That's not enough. He could do it if you called him and asked him to do it as a favor, but his day-to-day routine is researching the genetics of diseases like prostate cancer. It's not tracing people's ancestry to Africa. And so I was the bridge to take all of that intellectual capital and that scientific process and package it, create the system around it, create the processes around it, so that a person could ultimately buy a test kit, submit it, and then get an answer. So that's what I mean by commercialized. I created a system around his data to make a product available to the customer.
Oh, okay. So you made it what it is today, basically.
If it wasn't for me,
we
wouldn't know we'd be talking to Ancestry.com and saying, I'm 75% African and West African, and thinking that that was enough. And it's not enough. It's not enough at all.
Do you guys use the DNA for anything else?
At African Ancestry, we do not sell, share, or research our customers' genetic information. And when our lab is done with the sequencing from which we get the result, they destroy your DNA. So we do nothing with a person's DNA besides determine where they're from, and that's it.